Hello there, my crafty friend. Thanks so much for stopping by. I wanted to chat with you today about laser cutters. Have you ever thought about maybe getting a laser cutter? Look, to be honest, I haven't, because they're really big, right? You need to have a big garage with ventilation that goes out through the roof. They take up heaps of space. Or do they? FLUX recently reached out to me and asked if I would like to try their new laser cutter, the FLUX Ador. It's a tabletop-sized laser cutter that is designed for home crafters, like me. So it has these modules that are interchangeable. It comes with a diode laser, either a 10 watt or a 20 watt, depending on what you choose. And then you can get these add-on modules for it, which is, one of them is the infrared laser engraver for engraving on metal or jewelry. And the third module that you can put in is a color printing module. The workbed size is around about A3 size, so it can cut projects up to about 40 by 30 centimeters. I'm going to take you along. It's arrived. We're going to get it out and set it up and see what we can do. Let's go. So it is time to pack up this diamond painting, because it is laser time, baby. I got it out of the box, settled it into place on my little craft table, removed all the outside wrapping, and lifting the lid, I discovered the accessories box. We have got a quick start guide, power adapter, a sample of some plywood, laser module, the ventilation tubing. I also have the infrared laser module, print module, the ink cartridges. But for now, I'm not sure how all of these work, and I am just going to focus on doing my first simple little plywood cut and see if I can get my head around that to begin with. Following along with the little startup guide, I removed the travel bolts, took out some packing foam and installed the main laser module. This was really quite easy. It just clicks into place, aligning those little side dots and secures down with one screw. I then attached the vent tubing to the back of the machine. So this is the ventilation tube, and it is perfectly fine to hang this little end out a window or out of an external door so that all of those cutting fumes and dust and things aren't staying inside your room. Look, here's a few photos that I found around just to show you how that would work. You can see they've got a ventilation tube and it's going out of a window or out of an external door. Now, where I want to have this cutter set up, I don't actually have a window or an external door nearby. So I'm going to be using the very cute Beam Air, which is the FLUX air purifier, so that will just filter out everything that is that comes out of the cutting. That just sits nicely over the top of that, and then I will tighten up the little collar. So this is now my final setup. Coming over the top, you can see the power cable and the ventilation tubing attached. It comes down here to the Beam Air. Very, very nice looking little thing. It's on rollers so you can move it around easily. Nothing left to do now but turn it on. So when you first turn it on, it goes through some essential safety information. Most importantly, never leave it unattended and always make sure that you've got a fire extinguisher nearby. And then it walks you through step by step the initial setup that we've already done. So if you find those little tiny photos in the startup guide difficult to see, it's got some great videos here, all on the touch screen, walking you through that setup again step by step. Then it goes into a startup test using that piece of plywood that came in the box. It instructs you to put the plywood into the top corner, and then following along with the prompts on the screen, it tells you to hold down the button to autofocus, and away it goes. The air purifier came on automatically, as it said it would, and it says here to have a check of what it engraved. Let's have a little look. Oh, that's amazing. Really sharp line. All right. Let's see what else we can do now. Okay, I'm so pleased that that worked. So that was my first little test engrave, and it says now download the official Beam Studio software and get started for another project. So I'm going to do that now and start to have a play with what I want to do next. So when you first unpack the ador, all of those first instructions, getting it set up and running that very first simple test engrave, all of those instructions are shown on the inbuilt touchscreen. From that point onwards, the ador is entirely controlled from here in the Beam Studio. So here it is. This is the little icon, the Beam Studio that I have just opened. So all the information that you need, the guide of how to use the ador, is on the FLUX website. So on their website, on their main page, they have all the different types of laser cutters that they have, and for each of the different models, they have a guide. And the guide has a lot of different tutorials and tips and videos showing you how to use it and talking about all of the different materials that it cuts. So what am I going to do? Well, there's this file that I've had saved on Etsy for a long time. And I've thought to myself in the past that maybe I would try and attempt it by cutting it out of paper or cardboard, but it would never be quite as good. It is a laser file. So I thought this would make a great first project, these cute little Christmas decorations. I'm going to cut them out of some wood, give it a go, and then have some fun painting it up. So first I go up here to File and go to Open. This one here. So it has opened it with the different layers, and you can see that I've got some different things going on here. I've got the black outline, and I've also got some little red details here, which are the engraving details. I'm going to move that one to there, and I'm just going to click and drag. I hope that catches all of that. Yep, and I can just move this down here just to make it a little bit more efficient in the cutting. So I just think this little Christmas decoration is so cute. I will have links in the description, of where I found this on Etsy if you're interested in having a look. So I've got a few different layers here. Over here on the right, this is the layers panel. And below the layers panel, down here at the bottom, this is where you have different presets for what are the most common operations that you would want to do. So for each of these layers above, I can click on each layer and then set what it is that I want to do with that layer. So this first layer, just toggling on and off the eye, is definitely a cut layer. So clicking on that, making sure it's highlighted, I select I am using the 20-watt diode. And then the next little drop down, you can see these are the presets. So you can enter custom settings as you become more familiar with the machine, but I don't have that experience yet, so I'm just going to go with this. So I just selected wood, 3mm cut, and it has already come up with the power and the speeds that it thinks is the most common. So with the next layer, just toggling on and off that eye, you can see that is the little red area here. This is not a cut line. This is what I want to engrave. I just want those little mousy details there around the bed and his face. I want those as lines in the wood. So making sure that correct layer is highlighted at the top, then going down, I am using the 20-watt diode still, and this I want to set to wood engraving. Final layer, the third layer there, this is another cut line again. So highlighting that layer, still with the 20-watt diode, I go down to that bottom section and choose again wood 3mm cut. I'm going to pop in that piece of plywood. I just bought this online from a local seller. I'm going to pop it into the corner, close the lid. Down here on the touch screen, I am just going to hold autofocus, and I think it is ready to go. Back over here in the studio, I will click on the play up in the corner and hit start. Okay, so it took about 4.5 minutes-ish to cut this project, and the Beam air purifier has turned itself off automatically as well. Oh my goodness, it worked! Oh, let's bring it over to my desk and have a closer look. Oh wow, it's so cute! Look at that! Wow, look at the tiny little details. Oh my goodness, it's so little. And here, this is a tiny, tiny little window. Look at that tiny detail that's fallen out of there. So I don't need these parts. I can put them to the side. And here's little Mousy. Oh my goodness, this detail is so fine. Wow. It layers up, starting with the houses in the background, then the snow layer, and then little mouse goes on top. Then there's a little framing ring that goes on top. Oh, and there's the back one. There's the little back one as well. Oh, wow. Oh, this is going to look so good painted up. Oh, I can't wait. All right, let's go. Let's go. Okay, I have finished all the little bits and let's layer them up. So I'm just using a little tiny smidge of wood glue. Because this is just 3mm plywood, it's really light. It's just so light, I don't think it'll matter if I don't have a full covering of glue the whole way around. Got a little bit of excess glue up in here. I'll just smear that. I know it's going to dry clear. And a little bit down here. Oh gosh, can you see the layers? So this is what it looks like from the side. And you can see the layers in here, how he stands out. Wow. So I just used all of this paint that I used was just leftover paint from a paint by number kit. I have a little bit of gold. The gold that I'm using for that is the Winsor & Newton gold ink. I really like this one for a gold. I've tried quite a lot of different gold acrylic paints, and this one is just, I don't know, it's really metallic, it really shines and shimmers, and it's really thin because it's an ink, it's really watery, and I find that I can get really fine little details for those little glittery highlights that you like a gold paint for. I am wrapped in this. I just think this is the cutest thing. I can't stop. I have to do another one. Bit of glue, a smudge. Oh my goodness, look at that. Little Mr. Fox is knitting by the fireside. Oh, I just think that is so cute. I love it. Okay, all right, what's next? So I want to try out the infrared laser next, and it's best used for engraving on metal. So I got these little tiny little pendant charms. I just bought these on AliExpress. They weren't very expensive, and I'm going to have a go at making some little journal charms out of them. I got one each for me and my daughters, so I was going to make a little monogram with our initials on it, just something that we could kind of hang off the elastic thread on our journals, or you could turn them. I could put a chain on them and make them into jewelry, but that was my idea, was to make just little journal charms out of them. And the other thing I want to have a go at engraving on, oh, have a look at these. This is so cute. I bought two, just one each for my daughters, about 1/2 inch tall and about 3/4 inch wide. They are these tiny, tiny little envelopes. Oh my gosh. And the little letter comes out. So my idea is that I'm going to engrave something, I don't know, a little bit sweet or a little bit funny on this little envelope. And I'm going to take it off the chain and just put a little charm clip on there so that they can use these as little journal charms. It's even got like a little magnet so that the back of it snaps closed with a little magnet. I just think that is totally adorable. So cute. Okay, so I need to put my little charm in here to focus, but it's got like a little jump ring on it, you can see. And so if I put it straight down on the floor of the machine, it doesn't lay flat because of that. So I'm going to put it on a little bit of a support board with a jump ring hanging over the edge. That way I've got it totally flat. So I can put my little pendant directly underneath that little focusing sensor. It will touch it and bounce back, and then we are ready to go. So back over here in Beam Studio, I am just going to do a very, very simple text, a capital A for Alice. I'm going to make it bigger for now, just so we can see it. And now it's automatically gone as an outline, but if I go over here, it says infill, and it's filled it up. There is a font that I liked better. It was called Cochin, and that is just that real classic kind of monogrammy look. So now how do we make sure that it lines up perfectly on our little pendant? That is where the camera comes into play. So up here, we need to see the camera preview. You can hear it in the background doing its thing, and here we go. At the moment, that A is black, and that makes it a little bit tricky to see. So up here in the layers panel, let's change that to bright red. That's going to make things a little bit easier. And I would also like to zoom in a little bit closer, just so we can line this up a bit better. At the moment, we're in the camera preview. If I go back, I now have all my regular layers abilities. So coming down here, I'm going to grab that corner. Okay, that looks about right, something like that. And now before I press play, I've selected that layer. We are using the infrared. And I checked the listing, and it says these little pendants are stainless steel, so I'm going to choose that and just go with the default settings. That should be good. I'm going to press play and send it off to be done. Okay, it's finished. Let's see how it has gone. Oh my goodness. It worked. Look at that. That is great. Look at this. It's actually a darker engrave than I thought it would be. Really a real substantial kind of dark colour. I'm really, really happy with that. So I've gotten these to line up really well. If there are some alignment problems, like if it's engraving, a little bit high or a little bit to the right, there are instructions in the online guidebook about how to adjust that. So I did both sides. I went and flipped them over so that they were double-sided. Oh gosh, let me give them a little polish. I'm so happy with that. All right, now I'll show you what I'm going to do next. So it worked, but let me show you what I've done. Oh, so a little bit of a backstory about what it is that I've done here. So after dinner at the moment, me and my two girls, the game that we've been playing on the Switch every evening is Stardew Valley, and it's just this funny little farming game where you feed your animals and you water your plants and you've got to farm and make money and anyway, we're totally hooked on it. We love this silly game, and there's a bit of a joke that I actually am more addicted than they are, and I'm always trying to get them to play Stardew Valley with me after dinner. So these little envelopes, their names have engraved so nicely on the front. I cannot believe it. And so now when you turn it over, a tiny little picture of a chicken, the Stardew Valley chicken, and when you open it up, the little letter falls out. Now, I don't think I've chosen the best font here, but it's so clear. It has worked so well. I cannot believe it. It's just so cute. They are just going to love that. And same with Zara's. On the back of hers, I did the little Stardew Valley cow because that was her first animal. That is just so cute. Look, my brain is exploding with ideas that you could do with this infrared laser module. Imagine all the customized jewelry that you could make with this. Really wrapped. Now, while I have got the engraving module on, I want to have a play and see how it engraves on acrylic. So I've got a sheet of just plain black acrylic here, and I was going to have a go at just making a little simple acrylic keyring with a little bit of engraving and then cutting it out into a shape. So here in Canva, I have just designed just a little simple, cute little graphic that I thought would make a cute keyring, and I am going to download it as a PNG with a transparent background. Back in the Beam Studio, the PNG just came in with its transparent background, and I've had a little play around with the shapes bar here and created like a little outline. So I've put it on 2 layers over here. So the top layer here is the layer that has my little graphic on it, and this bottom layer here is the cut layer that is going to cut the shape and that little keyring hole that I added. So the first layer, it's going to be the infrared at just the standard black acrylic. I've chosen graphics that aren't too tiny and fine, so I hope they're going to show up okay. And that bottom layer, this one here, that is my cut line, so it is going to be the 20-watt diode and black acrylic cutting. All right, I'm going to see how this goes. It worked. It worked. Look at that. I'll get all my smudgy fingerprints off it. If once I have a bit more experience, I think I could have done like a nicer border, with like a few more decorative lines and things around it, and I could have got this outside shape, which I kind of patched together with some of the other shapes without really knowing what I was doing there. I think I could get better at that. So I found a little hook. It's nothing flash. It's a little bit, it's a bit how you're going. I'll have to order some nice little rings and things from AliExpress so I can make some more of these. I am absolutely sure that my kids would like something like this with some cute little animals that I found on Canva. They would go nuts for that. I've got so many ideas of things that I could do with this. You could do bag tags and shop signage and Christmas decorations and all kinds of groovy keyrings and things. It's quite incredible. So I've been thinking about what to do for the printing project. Now, when I was shopping in Kmart over Christmas, I was thinking about getting this flower press for my daughter. She's really into scouts, and she's always saving little bits of plants and leaves and flowers and popping them in her journal. Why don't I have a go at making a really nice flower press for her? So I've got a piece of much thicker wood here for this project. This is a 6mm plywood. So my plan is to use the diode laser to cut 2 20cm squares, little holes in the corner, top and bottom. to make, you know, like a wood sandwich. And I've got these wing nut bolts to kind of squish the corners together. And on the top, I'm going to print a nice design using the printing module, something flowery and nice, and then doing like maybe like a little custom wood engraved plaque on top of that as well. I could just print the whole lot, but I've just got this idea in my head that if I use some wood engraving then layered on top of the printing, that it'll give a really nice natural effect. So here in the Beam Studio, I'm just going to click the square icon in that panel, click and drag 20 centimeters each way. And the next thing I need to do is have some little holes in each corner where these bolts are going to go through. So these bolts are 6 millimeters. I'm thinking if I make the little holes, say 8 millimeter, then I'm hoping that should be okay. I just want to duplicate those. 3, 4. Everything's on the one layer. It's all cut. It has cut those pieces without any troubles at all. That is going to be fine. So I was having a read on the FLUX website in the Ador guide, and they said to get a really nice print effect, you want to have a really nice surface. So I've just got my light sanding sponge, and I'm just going to give this a very light sand just to get some of this like wood fluff. It kind of feels a little bit fluffy. Yeah, that's much better. That feels really nice and smooth now. And they also recommended on the website that it's a good idea to use a primer on your wood before you print. And now that makes sense to me. Obviously, wood is very porous. It has a grain in it. And as soon as you hit it with water, the liquid will seep along those grains and it will bleed into the pores of the wood. Now, they recommend using this Liquitex clear gesso. I've used this many times before. I'm not really a fan because of the tooth. It has when it dries, it has a very gritty feeling on it, so that your surface feels like sandpaper once it's dry. This is my favorite clear gesso, the one from Art Basics. I use it on all of my paint by number kits, so you can see through it. It has a milky consistency in the jar but dries perfectly clear, and it is totally smooth. There is no grit on the surface when it is finished. So now while that's drying, let me show you some of the designs I've been working on. So this is the type of thing I'm thinking of, with a printed kind of floral background and then an engraved wood plaque over the top. I mean, there's so many amazing kind of wreath ideas on Canva, but the one I'm going to do is this one. It's just, this was the base image, which I just duplicated and flipped around. So I'm going to save that design as a PNG with a transparent background and then open it up in Beam Studio. So now over here in the Beam Studio, I am going to open, that's the image there. And now when you first import it, it'll look black and white until you set it to printing. Once I've told it that this is actually going to be a PNG that I want to print, we get the full colours. All right, my piece of board is dry and ready to print. So I was having a good read of the Ador handbook on the website, all about printing. It's really important to make sure that the product that you're printing on is lying entirely flat. There is not a lot of space between the print head and your project, and so if there's any wobbles or uneven surface in it, you run the risk of the print head touching and moving your project. Another thing, I was just doing a practice run just to check that I liked the colours, that I was happy with the colours that I chose for this design, and I learned really quickly that it's very easy to bump your project when it's in the machine, and if you move it just a smidge with my big clumsy fingers, if you bump it at all, then it's never going to line up again perfectly exactly where it was for the next color. So I recommend moving the the print head all the way to the side when you're changing your ink colors so that your hands are away from your project. And just to be extra sure, I'm going to actually tape my piece of wood down with some masking tape, just in case I accidentally touch it, that it's going to stay where it should. And I've hit the camera preview button here so that we can get the sizing of this just right. That this little square is where the ink cartridges like to do a little pre-spray. Now, so you don't want this anywhere near over here, otherwise you're going to get a little pre-spray on your project. So I've just put a little post-it note down and it can do its little pre-spray over there. So I'm going to press start up in the corner, and then from that point on we do everything else over on the little screen on the ador. So it has finished the black printing now. You can see it there. Even though there's no black in this image, it's obviously using black just for some depth to the other colors. And you can see the little pre-spray section there that has happened on my post-it note. So now I am just going to follow along with this, with the touch screen, and just put in whatever cartridges it says that it wants next. It has finished and you can see my little image in there. Let's have a look. Okay, let's take it out and take it over to my desk and have a closer look. Wow, I knew this wasn't a professional printer. It's not meant to replace professional printing in any way, but look, those colours are lovely. It's done a really good job. The edges are really nice and neat. It's really nice and sharp. I think that's going to be gorgeous. So now the only thing I want to do now for it is just to make a little square plaque with some engraving on wood. Alice's flower press. And I need a shape to cut, which is going to be, I think, about 5 by 5 centimeters. Create a new layer. Layer 2 is going to be the cut line at 50 mil by 50 mil. And I just need to choose a nice font for this. Okay, it's done. Look at that. I'm really happy with how that's turned out. I think it looks lovely. If you wanted to, you could, I guess, get a white Posca pen if you wanted to add some little highlights, or, you know, kind of add some embellishments, or you could use some of that gold ink or some gold paint to add a few little specks. But for this graphic, I think this one looks good just as a flat image. So I've cut some cardboard to go in it, and so I'm going to put it all together. Well, I can safely say that the Ador and I are going to get along just fine. I didn't think that someone like me with zero laser experience, I didn't think that I'd be able to get my head around such a technical piece of equipment, that it was going to be too much, that it was going to be just too hard for me. Sure, it's new and it's different, and there is a learning curve. There is things that you need to learn, but honestly, you could actually set this up and be cutting in an afternoon. I don't want to make it sound though that it's totally a walk in the park. There is of course going to be a learning curve, and there will be a lot of experimenting with different materials to see how they operate and what settings work best. But there is a huge community of support out there. There is a really active, wonderful FLUX Facebook group that offers a lot of support and has a lot of inspiration on there. And I'm excited to keep practicing with this machine and see what I learn and see what I can do. So if you would like to see me create more things with this laser cutter, if it's something that you'd be interested in seeing, chat with me in the comments and let me know your thoughts about that. But I have totally fallen down the rabbit hole in Pinterest and on Instagram, looking at some of the incredibly inspiring projects that are out there. So the Ador will release first. It's brand new. It's only just coming out. I believe it's going to be released in Taiwan and in Europe to begin with, and they're doing a staged release where it will be released in the US and other parts of the world, like Australia, in coming months. I will put some details here as I get them. So I want to say a huge thank you to FLUX for sending this Ador my way. It is incredible. I've had so much fun experimenting with this. So thank you so much for stopping by. I'm so glad that I could share this with you. See you next time.